Welcome to the Sonance Invisible Series installation video. Throughout this video, we will cover the steps and best practices to successfully install Sonance Invisible Series speakers, woofers, and subwoofers. Let's get started by planning the placement of our speakers. We have some flexibility since Sonance Invisible Series speakers have 170 degrees of dispersion in all directions. For in-wall applications, we recommend placing the speakers at least 7 feet from the bottom of the wall. This keeps them elevated and away from decor and picture hangings. For ceiling applications, remember that the excellent dispersion and invisibility means that you are free to place these speakers in places that would be aesthetically out of the question for traditional visible speakers. For instance, no more running laser lines to make sure you are perfectly aligned with lighting. And if there's a physical conflict with the location of HVAC, electrical, or plumbing, you can always move your invisible speaker over one stud bay or forward and backward within the same stud bay with no visual or performance penalty. For retrofit installations, remove the included cutout template that's taped to the front of each speaker. Locate the studs in your install location, position and affix the template, mark around the template, and finally, cut the hole. We highly recommend you keep the cutout template. It is an important tool in the finishing stage. Next, run speaker wire from the amplifier and audio component location to the cutout holes for your speaker. We recommend that you reinforce the top and bottom joint locations with a face block oriented 2x4 or 3/4 inch plywood for both retrofit and new construction installations. This provides support for joints around the full perimeter of the speaker and will make for a robust installation. Important note, refer to the product manual on Sonance.com for required top to bottom opening dimensions. For new construction, we highly recommend the use of our space savers, which are a great way to reserve the precise dimensions and location of your Sonance Invisible Series speakers during the construction phase, and will protect your speaker wire from getting lost within the wall or ceiling cavities. Run the speaker wire through the tab on the back of the space saver. With the aid of a level, screw or tack the space saver to the studs, making sure it's centered horizontally. Once speaker locations have been reserved with space savers, we can complete drywall installation to the rest of the room, including the surface around the speakers. At this point, the speaker installation and finishing steps are the same for new construction and retrofit applications. For installations where you want to provide a barrier to prevent sound bleed into adjoining rooms, you will want to take advantage of our sound isolating enclosures, sold separately. This accessory is installed directly onto the back of the speaker before placing in the wall or ceiling. If sound containment is important to your application, definitely use the sound isolating enclosure. Remember, this is an optional accessory that is not required. You will get outstanding sound whether you use the enclosure or not. Begin the enclosure installation by routing the invisible speaker flying leads through the cable gland in the enclosure and pulling the leads out as far as you can. Tighten down the cable gland for an airtight seal. Secure the enclosure to the speaker using the included screws, and place the prepared speaker and enclosure unit aside. Remove the space saver, being careful to hold onto the speaker wire attached to the back. Be careful not to damage the drywall surrounding the space saver. The space saver can be kept for future installations or recycled. Install shims to your framing as needed. Half-inch wallboards do not require shims in most cases. If you are using a thicker substrate, such as 5/8 of an inch, shown here, we include a full set of 1/8 inch and 1/16 of an inch shims to bring the speaker flush to the installation surface. When using the optional sound isolating enclosure, trim the shims as needed. Next, connect the speaker wire from your wall or ceiling to the wire leads on the speaker using the included wire nuts. Place the speaker into the opening. Secure the speaker using at least 4 of the included stainless steel screws in each corner. The best practice is to use stainless steel screws to secure the drywall surrounding the speaker as well. Important note, unlike standard drywall screws, these are non-magnetic, and that will help us take advantage of the new Sonance disc system later on in the finishing stage. Next, it is critical at this point to test the speaker with an audio source to ensure it functions properly before completing the installation. Once we start applying a finish, it will be too late to go back and fix any audio connection problems. Now is the best time to fix any audible anomalies. After testing is complete, check that the center diaphragm of the speaker is flush with the installation surface. Then, finish securing the speaker to the surface with the remaining stainless steel screws along all 4 sides. Now we can move on to the finishing steps. Drywall finish specifications have various levels of smoothness. For invisible speaker installations, we recommend at least a level 4 finish where drywall seams are all feathered out and sanded. For best results, we recommend a level 5 finish where the entire wall plane is skim coated and sanded for smooth consistency. Step 1. Fill gaps with hot mud and feather the edges. Step 2. Apply joint tape as hot mud is setting up and overlap tape slightly. Step 3. Allow hot mud to fully cure. Step 4. Apply topping compound around the edges of the speaker, finishing up to the diaphragm. Use a lightweight, easy sand, flexible, slow-setting material. Do not use a fast-curing mud, as it will dry to a hard finish, preventing the needed flexibility. Step 5. Feather and blend all edges. Step 6. Allow first coat to fully cure. If a perfectly flat finish is achieved at this point, you may opt to proceed to the priming and painting phase. This is what we refer to as a finish up to installation. In this case, we recommend multiple layers of paint to achieve a shadowless, even blending of color. Step 7. Our preference is a finish over process where an additional skim coat is applied over the entire speaker and blended onto the surrounding wall plane. A finish over process typically takes less time to complete versus finish up to, because we don't have to apply as many layers of paint. And with a skim coat over the entire surface of the speaker and wall, it's much easier to achieve perfect invisibility. The recommended total finish thickness is 1 mm to 1.5 mm for optimal performance. The maximum finish over limit is 3 mm. Step 8. Allow second coat to fully cure. Step 9. Sand the surface with a pole or block sander. Do not use a power sander, as this could damage the surface of the speaker. Be careful not to sand down into the surface of the speaker. This could damage the paper, which makes perfect blending very difficult to achieve. Step 10. Validate the finish thickness using the Sonance disc system and depth gauge. Step 11. The final step is to once again perform an audio test. Listen to each speaker and verify that audio quality and performance have not significantly changed since your listening test just prior to the finishing stage. After listening validation, your Sonance invisible speaker installation is now complete. From this point, follow your normal method for painting or wallpaper. Enjoy.